Tuesday, the PM laid the foundation stones of multiple development projects worth around $4 billion in Jammu. The projects relate to several sectors including health, education, rail, road, aviation, petroleum, civic infrastructure, among others. The PM dedicated to the nation various rail projects in Jammu and Kashmir, including the new rail line between Banihal, Khari, Sumbar, Sangaldan and the newly electrified Baramulla, Srinagar, Banihal, Sangaldan section. He also flagged off the first electric train in the valley and also the train service between Sangaldan station and Baramulla station. The event also saw the PM distributing appointment letters to about 1,500 new government recruits of Jammu and Kashmir. Prime Minister Modi also interacted with beneficiaries of various government schemes as part of the Viksit Bharat Viksit Jammu program in Jammu. And addressing a public gathering in Jammu, the PM said, "Love of the people of Kashmir is a great blessing for all of us."
सिर्फ अपने परिवार की सोचने वाले लोग कभी आपके परिवार की चिंता नहीं करेंगे। मुझे संतोष है कि जम्मू कश्मीर को इस परिवारवादी राजनीति से मुक्ति मिल रही है। भाई और बहनों, जम्मू कश्मीर को विकसित बनाने के लिए हमारी सरकार गरीब, किसान, युवा शक्ति और नारी शक्ति पर सबसे ज्यादा फोकस कर रही है।
Another same event, Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha said that under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, incidents of terrorism have been reduced by 75% in the Union Territory of J&K.
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की दृढ़ राजनीतिक इच्छा शक्ति के कारण 5 अगस्त 2019 को एक ऐसा फैसला हुआ जिसके कारण 7 दशकों की पीड़ा, अन्याय, अलगाववाद, आतंकवाद और भ्रष्टाचार से जम्मू कश्मीर को मुक्त कर इसे सामाजिक आर्थिक विकास के नए रोल मॉडल के रूप में विकसित करने का प्रयास हुआ है।
Let's talk about this further, this development drive that is taking place in Jammu and Kashmir. We have with us senior journalist Aarti Tuku in our studio. Good afternoon to you, Aarti. Welcome to DD India. What do you make of what's been happening in Jammu and Kashmir? Contextualize what's happened today with the perspective of the last 10 years, ever since the Modi government took over, and of course the big inflection point in 2019 when Article 370 was revoked.
Well, I think certainly if you look at the announcements that the Prime Minister made today, it is in the context of his development agenda for Jammu and Kashmir and the vision that he has for Jammu and Kashmir, which he often refers to as the new Jammu and Kashmir, the Naya Jammu and Kashmir. And for that, I think we need to understand what was in Jammu and Kashmir before the Modi government came to power in 2014, but especially before the nullification of Article 370 and 35A in 2019. Jammu and Kashmir was ridden with cross-border terrorism, and it continues to a certain extent even today. But primarily for 33 years, I would say till 2019 actually, Jammu and Kashmir since 1990 till 2019 was conflict ridden, was heavily affected because of the lack of investment due to cross-border terrorism. People did not invest in J&K, people migrated out of Jammu and Kashmir. We had one of the largest exoduses of Kashmiri Hindus from Kashmir Valley. We had people of all sections and all strata of society from Kashmir as well as Jammu moving out of J&K because there was no development, there was hardly any private sector because of the lack of investment in J&K. Now, since 2019, when a paradigm shift was facilitated because of the nullification of Article 370 and 35A, a new chapter for Jammu and Kashmir has started, because because of the decision, the historic decision of 2019 or August 5th that year, the biggest signal was to the separatists who were sponsored by Pakistan. It was also a signal, it was also a loud and clear message to Kashmir-centric political parties who had been running an appeasement politics for 70 years, and also National Conference and PDP, who are almost like dynasties in Kashmir and ran exactly the politics of nepotism, the politics of appeasement, and the politics of soft separatism, which kept the pot boiling in Jammu and Kashmir for a very long time, for almost 70 years. Of course, till 1990 it was a political pot which was boiling, but 1990 till 2019, we saw how violence affected every section of Kashmir society as well as Jammu society. Now, with this development agenda for the last 5 years, I would say, not 10 years, but the last 5 years, I think, have really changed Jammu and Kashmir in a dynamic way, because the youth today, for example, during the Independence Day celebrations last year, we saw massive number of ordinary civilians walking up to the stadium in Kashmir Valley, attending the celebrations, which was almost unthinkable in the last, from 1990 to 2019.
Would you say that a larger number of people have a stake in, especially in the valley, in the economy of developing the region itself rather than the economy of terrorism?
See, that's where I was getting to, that we saw massive shift in the last 5 years, because we saw tourists coming in huge numbers after the coronavirus pandemic. For 30 years, tourism industry was almost dead in Kashmir. We hardly saw anyone coming to Kashmir. In fact, the focus had shifted away from Kashmir. People were going to Himachal Pradesh, people were going to Ladakh, people were going to Mata Vaishno Devi as a religious pilgrimage. But Kashmir was a no-go zone. And that has shifted in the last 5 years. We had record number of tourists coming in. We saw, I think, 2 crore tourists going to Kashmir Valley.
Last year, I think.
Last year. So that has changed, and youth who kept migrating out of Jammu and Kashmir in 30 years are now hoping that they can build their careers in J&K with new IITs, with new IIMs, with AIMS, and they can compete.
The kind of projects that the PM has launched today,
Absolutely.
he's laid foundation stones of several of them. Do you think that not only takes the development and the economy and prosperity imperative forward, but also the strategic one?
Absolutely. Look, the image of Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir in the last 33 years was that of gloom and doom. It was a picture of, terror, violence, conflict, and we had so much negative press about Kashmir across the world.
Because why I ask this question is because there's still a lot of external threat. There's Pakistan on one side, there's China on the other, and they're friends and not friendly with us.
Yes. Well, look, that geostrategic threat will remain there as long as hostilities with Pakistan and China remain.
All the more reason to build Kashmir up further.
Yeah. But the way the policy of Jammu and Kashmir before Modi government came to power was actually going against the interests of the Indian nation. It was going against the interests of people of Jammu and Kashmir. Till 2014, the policy was like, okay, we have to manage that conflict somehow. We did not care about jobs, we did not care about private investment, we did not care about how to actually facilitate conditions and environment for more growth and prosperity. Because growth and prosperity in a way also strengthens your position geostrategically when you have two hostile neighbors.
Do you see a day in Kashmir specifically when there is the goal for 2047 when we complete 100 years to become a developed nation in Jammu and Kashmir, in Kashmir particularly, that A, the promise of reverting to full statehood will be fulfilled, and B, the presence of the armed forces that we have there, that will be significantly reduced?
Well, Home Minister Amit Shah ji has in Parliament openly declared that there will be statehood. Even as, if you ask me my personal opinion, I think Jammu and Kashmir is a frontier state. It is bordered, and we have LOC and LAC with Pakistan as well as China respectively. And from that perspective, you ask me as an analyst, a geopolitical analyst, I would say statehood is the last priority in the bigger scheme of things. I think what is really required is development in Jammu and Kashmir. I think it's important that people have incentives to stay in Jammu and Kashmir instead of vacating that entire union territory and leaving it for the security establishment. I think it's important that society also understands its responsibility to grow that region and make it robust economically, financially, as well as a society and politically also, because that's when the enemy, which is outside our frontiers, will take that as a signal. If you remember history, in fact, 1965 and even in 1971, people of Jammu and Kashmir did not stand with Pakistan. Pakistan was hoping that they will find reception to Pakistani troops in 65 war or 71 war, but there was absolute hostility towards Pakistan. That changed in 1990 when cross-border terrorism erupted in Jammu and Kashmir, and people were supporting, armed
because
militants.
they were getting money and other things.
Exactly. So that's why I said, the policy, the Kashmir policy before the Modi government came to power was completely skewed and lopsided, and it was against the interests of Indian nation. But now, with a lot of, focus that Prime Minister has put in Jammu and Kashmir, he takes special interest, in fact, in J&K. In the last 10 years, we have seen they have taken so many initiatives. They did crackdown on terror funding, which is huge. NI terror crackdown. We saw massive numbers of arrests. We saw a complete decline in stone pelting incidents. We saw terrorism coming down.
One last quick question for you. Pakistan in complete disarray as it has been of late and continues to be. Has that been a good thing for J&K, or will it remain a good thing with the way things are?
Well, I think Pakistan's stability, many people used to say that Pakistan's stability is good for Jammu and Kashmir, but I think it's absolutely wrong. I do not think Pakistan's stability actually adds anything to J&K. In fact, history has shown, our data has shown, and events have shown that as and when Pakistan was strong economically, Jammu and Kashmir bore the brunt, Punjab bore the brunt because of cross-border terrorism. They had so much money, they were flush with arms and money from
they had American
US,
money.
American money, that it came to J&K, and it really disrupted in fact broke apart the entire social fabric, and that has affected not just people of Jammu and Kashmir. Remember that it's our Indian armed forces who've been giving sacrifices. Our troops have been killed in terror attacks. We have continuously fought on those frontiers. So we should not think that Pakistan's economic stability or even otherwise is going to be helpful for J&K. It is actually dangerous for J&K.
All right. With that, thank you so much for joining us to talk about it. Aarti Tikku, the kind of development that is being pursued in J&K is aided, of course, by all that the government is doing, but there are other factors at play as well, and it all comes together to ensure that J&K comes along with the nation when we have a developed nation by 2047. Well, still to come on DD India News Hour. New Delhi gears up to host the 9th edition of the Raisina Dialogue. Foreign dignitaries have started arriving in India's national capital. Tensions surge in the Taiwan Strait as China increases patrolling. And the second edition of CII India Europe Business and Sustainability Conclave gets underway in New Delhi. India's External Affairs Minister to address the conclave. India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. land of possibilities, teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. As India's national capital gears up to host the Raisina dialogue from the 21st of this month till the 23rd, leaders have started arriving to attend the event from world over. Sweden's Foreign Minister Tobias Billström arrived in India on Tuesday to attend the event. Latvia's Foreign Minister Krišjānis Kariņš also reached New Delhi for the event. And earlier, Greek Foreign Minister Georgios Gerapetritis also arrived in India early on Tuesday for the annual Raisina dialogue. So high-profile arrivals have been rolling in for the prestigious Raisina Dialogue 2024 in India's national capital, New Delhi, set to tackle pressing global issues under this year's theme, Chaturanga, Conflict, Contest, Cooperate, Create. Featuring Greek Prime Minister Mitsotakis as chief guest. Let's take a closer look at it with DD India's Meghna Deb and her report.
Arrivals have started in New Delhi for India's premier conference on geopolitics and geoeconomics, the Raisina Dialogue 2024. The Raisina Dialogue is being held in New Delhi from 21st to 23rd February and will address challenging issues facing the global community. With the theme Chaturanga, Conflict, Contest, Cooperate, Create, the conference will delve into issues under diverse sub-thematic pillars like war and peace, tech regulations, invest, innovate, and more.
I'm here to speak about our calling for this century.
And this year, under India's leadership of the G20, we're putting sustainable development at the center of the agenda.
We have moved to a new mindset where solutions to climate challenge become the drivers of a new economic age.
India has emerged as a powerful leader and policy maker.
At the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of Greece, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, is also paying a state visit to India from 21st to 22nd February 2024 and will be the chief guest and keynote speaker at the 9th Raisina Dialogue. Every year, leaders in politics, business, media and civil society converge in New Delhi to discuss the state of the world and explore opportunities for cooperation on a wide range of contemporary matters.
When a few nations set the agenda and expected others to fall in line are over.
Hamas and the people who support Hamas are fully responsible for this appalling act of terror.
The health crisis during the pandemic, who could you call? And more importantly, who would answer?
The dialogue is structured as a multi-stakeholder, cross-sectoral discussion involving heads of state, cabinet ministers and local government officials who are joined by thought leaders from private sector, media and academia. The conference is hosted by the Observer Research Foundation in partnership with the Indian Ministry of External Affairs. Meghna Deb reports for DD India.
Poland Secretary of State Władysław Bartoszewski said that Poland wants India to play a role in world affairs as Warsaw would like to have closer cooperation with New Delhi. Bartoszewski further said India is a superpower and should play a role that fits a superpower on the world stage.
Well, we have relations. We've had relations for the last 70 years. To this year is the anniversary of establishing the relations, and they've always been extremely good. We never had any problems, and now we think we should move to a higher level because India has developed into a phenomenal country and the fifth largest economy and very important politically, and we have developed as well, and we have more to offer to each other. So yes, I will be discussing possible cooperation in new technologies, in digital technologies in cybersecurity, in cooperation with new renewable energies, because we are very keen on it, and so is India. We're quite developed in the IT sector, which brings 9% of GDP to India, but brings about 7% of GDP to Poland as well. We are quite also developed. So there are lots of spheres, enhanced political cooperation. We want India to play a more active role in global politics, because as the largest democracy, we want a country like India would share our values as to how the world should be organized.
Asia's most significant aerospace exhibition, the Singapore Air Show, features India's Sarang team performing a 4-helicopter display. And global aviation leaders will be gathering for strategic talks shaping the industry's future. DD India's Patrick Falk reports from Singapore.
This is the first time since 2019, since before COVID, that the event is back to full scale. There are more than 1,000 exhibitors here from more than 50 different countries, so there's a lot of excitement. And this event is really about industry leaders and figures getting together to engage with one another and talk about issues within the global aviation industry. And one of the big focuses this year in particular is on sustainability, and there's going to be a lot of discussion on how the industry is going to reach net zero emissions. Remember, the global aviation industry has committed to do so by 2050, and one of the things that is being featured here is the Airbus A350-1000, which uses sustainable aviation fuel, which is basically a mixture of cooking oil, tallow, and regular jet fuel. So we're going to be getting a closer look at that today. Also, as you say, there's going to be a lot of excitement about the aerobatic teams here, including India's Sarang helicopter aerobatics team that are going to be performing here tomorrow. It's a 71-man team, and it's one of 5 aerobatic teams that is going to be performing at Singapore. So we're going to be getting a good look at that as well tomorrow.
The second CII India-Europe Business and Sustainability Conclave kick-started in New Delhi today. The 2-day conclave aims at putting forward the business perspectives and priorities and deliberating upon the opportunities and challenges for businesses in India and Europe. The conclave holds a great importance for both the countries, the Union as well, the European Union, as Europe is India's second largest trading partner and solely contributes 21.8% share in India's total exports. Bilateral trade between India and Europe in 2022-23 has been recorded at $185.16 billion US. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will also be addressing the event later in the evening. And the event was also addressed by Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Hellenic Republic. He called for further strengthening of business ties between India and Greece.
It is our aspiration that this gathering will facilitate the exchange of business perspectives and priorities, while also fostering deliberations on the opportunities and challenges that confront businesses in both India and Europe. In this context, I'm very pleased to begin a collaborative partnership between Greece and India. Our countries have a long history of friendship and cooperation, and it is crucial that we enhance our economic connections. As both of our nations are maritime countries, I believe we all recognize the significance of strengthening our economic cooperation, particularly in the maritime and blue economy sectors.
Let me now take you across to my colleague Amritpal Singh for more on this in New Delhi. Amrit, where do India and Europe relations stand on business and sustainability cooperation now, and what does the future look like with geopolitical and technological challenges looming large as well?
Well, India and Europe, Gautam, have a very robust relationship. It is an economic relationship. It's a strategic partnership. They are great trading for India. EU is the third largest or the second largest trading partner. If you look at it as a block, you spoke about the total trade on both sides being $185.16 billion. It's evenly poised both in terms of imports and exports and the balance of payments. So it is a robust relationship, but they're negotiating a FTA which would further give boost. And they have ambitious targets of taking the trade to about $2 trillion, by 2030. And for that, they're trying to work out various agreements, including the FTA, which would give more access, would give a secure trade environment. When you talk about, challenges that are being posed, while there are areas of cooperation, but there remain challenges. That is why we see the FTA talks go on for such long. When it comes to the automobile sector, when it comes to the dairy sector, wines and spirits sector, India getting access to them. So these challenges remain in terms of sustainability. The challenges from new emerging critical technologies remain, though there is a commitment from both sides to look at cooperating in renewable energies, clean energy, reducing the digital divide, etc. But then again, there are issues, geopolitical issues also looming large, like the Ukraine war, the disruption of supply chains. They've been pushing to create a mechanism where sustained supply chains can exist. So all these challenges remain, which the two sides are working towards addressing. Gautam?
Right. Now, you mentioned the FTA negotiations, which were relaunched in June 2022. I believe the 7th round has just begun. You mentioned automobiles and other things that have been hindrances. But how close are we to ensuring that, these negotiations are finally concluded?
You are right. The FTA negotiations, the 7th round began yesterday in New Delhi. There is a 15-member EU team here to negotiate that. They are talking about investments and trade. The last time at the 6th round, they were able to create a certain consensus when it comes to procurement and goods. So one could say that they are at an advanced stage of negotiation. We could see that being inked soon. But as I said, there remain some roadblocks or divergences on how to reduce trade barriers, especially in in sectors that are socially and politically challenging on both sides, and the policies where they do not match, but there are a lot of convergences also. So I think, given that they are at an advanced stage of negotiation, we could see that being inked soon.
All right. Amrit, thanks. I'm going to let you go at this point, although I did want to talk to you about how the EU has finally decided to step into the Red Sea mix as well, as far as countering the Houthis is concerned, and coming along with India on that. But perhaps we'll do that later. Thanks for joining us for the moment. Now, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar has shared views in an interview with the German economic daily during his visit to Germany for the Munich Security Conference. Dr. Jaishankar said that the global order is currently facing multiple kinds of stresses after the conflict in Ukraine, Gaza, as well as COVID. He also added that climate protection needs to be taken much more seriously, as the world has created an economic model that is unstable and unfair. Answering a question on India-Russia ties, he said that India shares largest defense inventory with Russia. Speaking on Europe's economic relations with Russia, he said that Europe did not cut off exports from Russia for crude oil and referred to it as a step to manage politics along with interests of people. India is working with EU in Council for Trade and Technology. India concluded mobility agreements with Germany, Portugal, France. India has also reached an agreement with Europe to build connectivity corridor through the Middle East or West Asia. India has robust cooperation with France for a long time and to a more limited extent with Spain and Italy. Relationship with Germany is developing. Talks on buying 6 submarines with Germany remain ongoing. Now, tensions continue to rise across the sensitive Taiwan Strait as China has increased patrolling following the death of its 2 fishermen. China's Coast Guard triggered panic among Taiwanese people by boarding a Taiwanese tourist boat. This is part of Beijing's plans to set up law enforcement activity around the Taiwan-controlled island of Kinmen. This comes following the death of 2 Chinese nationals fleeing Taiwan's Coast Guard, having entered into waters too close to Kinmen, which has a military base. And still to come on DD India News Hour. European Union foreign ministers aim for another round of sanctions against Russia in Brussels. Farmers may block border crossings with Ukraine, a move that could stop flow of crucial supplies to the conflict-stricken nation. This is happening in Poland. And the European Union has launched a naval mission against the Houthis in Yemen, is what I referred to in my conversation with Amritpal Singh. We'll get you more details on that.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy, and before we go any further, another look at our top stories. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi unveils multiple development initiatives totaling around $4 billion during his Jammu visit. Says his government's committed to a developed Jammu and Kashmir. Foreign dignitaries begin arriving in India's capital, New Delhi, to participate in India's flagship foreign policy event, the Raisina Dialogue, beginning on Wednesday. Farmers' protests spread like wildfire in Europe. Greek tillers mobilize overnight ahead of Athens' protest. Polish and Czech farmers are already up in arms over high costs, low prices and other issues. Well, Polish farmers are planning to block all border crossings with the Ukraine starting from Tuesday, potentially halting the movement of essential supplies, military supplies, to the conflict-stricken country. Farmers' unions warned last week that they were ready to escalate their agitation, which has been ongoing for weeks. The farmers are protesting against EU policies, rising costs and unfair competition from abroad, particularly Polish farmers. They've been vocal about the impact of cheap food imports from Ukraine. The Farmers' Solidarity Trade Union plans on-off road blockades throughout Poland until the 10th of next month. Also, hundreds of Czech farmers drove their tractors into capital Prague on Monday outside the Agriculture Ministry as they joined protests against high energy costs, stifling bureaucracy and the European Union's Green Deal. The government has said the organizers of Monday's demonstration have little to do with real farming. And farmers in Greece are preparing to converge in a convoy of tractors towards the capital Athens on Tuesday. The group is said to park their tractors in protest outside the country's parliament building. Like their European counterparts, the farmers have been protesting for weeks over issues including high production costs and losses suffered from the effects of climate change. Let me now take you across to DD India's Ishan Garg, who's joining us from Brussels to talk about this burgeoning issue. Hi, Ishan. Farmers seem to be on the warpath in multiple EU member nations. The situation seems to be coming to a head in Poland. It can be devastating at some levels for Ukraine. How are the respective governments dealing with these issues?
Well, the governments are finding it incredibly difficult to deal with these issues, not only because it's a problem in terms of supply of agricultural goods, or in the case of Ukraine, as it says, supply of essential items which could hurt its defenses. It's also a very complicated problem because various farmers in different parts of Europe are not only protesting EU-wide agricultural laws, they also seem to be protesting laws which are specific to their own countries, but they are finding common ground in the argument that some of these EU's laws have made it difficult for farmers to hit their profit margins. They have said that particularly imports coming in from Ukraine have the potential to flood the European markets, which would mean that profits for the farmers, especially in countries like Poland, they're going to take a massive hit. And because of that, they have launched this massive protest, which is expected to last for another 3 weeks at the very least. And we are seeing some immediate impacts of that. The border agency in Ukraine has said that nearly 3,000 trucks are waiting on the side of Poland to enter into Ukraine, and nearly 600 trucks are waiting on the Ukrainian side to export their material into Europe. So we are seeing a massive backlog, a massive hold-up on the borders, on the Polish-Ukrainian borders. It's unclear what the governments can do, but they have held several rounds of meetings, especially the Ukrainian officials and the Polish officials. But so far it seems that they have not been able to reach an agreement on what to do.
Okay. And what has the EU itself been doing about it? Because some of the farmers' grievances stem from, as you mentioned, the EU farm policies.
Absolutely. So EU's position has been to provide more help to the farmers. It has already announced that it's going to cut its limit of pesticides by 50% to help the farmers. It's also watered down some of its climate change ambitions to suit the farmers. And now we are also hearing that the European Union is looking to put a sort of hard stop, a braking mechanism on the imports coming in from Ukraine. And this is all an attempt to assuage the concerns of the farmers ahead of the EU elections, which are coming up later in June. But at the same time, many farming organizations have said that these are not the measures that have completely helped them to the degree that they would have wanted, and they are seeking more support from the EU. And the problem now for the Commission here is that they are looking to support the Ukrainian farmers as well, on which a bulk of Ukrainian industry, a bulk of Ukrainian economy right now is reliant after the war with Russia.
Well, certainly. Well, let's hope that some sort of a breakthrough emerges. Otherwise, things could get tough for Ukraine, which is already in quite a hard spot after losing certain territory which it had earlier liberated from Russia. Thanks for joining us for the moment. Now, the European Union is aiming to get its 13th package of sanctions against Russia over the line by the 2-year anniversary of the full-scale offensive in Ukraine. The 27 European Union foreign ministers discussed the conflict in Brussels on Monday. 26 of the 27 member countries joined in support of the sanctions. This would complement a €50 billion financial support package for Kyiv and a move to set aside profits from Russia's immobilized sovereign assets. Hungary remained the sole naysayer, which said imposing more European Union sanctions on Kremlin makes no sense and only hurts the bloc's economy. And the EU foreign ministers also reiterated their calls for ceasefire in the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict, stressing on the unconditional release of hostages held by Hamas.
The 26 expressed its support to this statement and produced a new one, which is basically the same one that I issued during the weekend, but with an additional statement, additional paragraph, which is to require an immediate humanitarian pause that would lead to a sustainable ceasefire, to the unconditional release of hostages, and to the provision of humanitarian assistance.
The European Union on Monday gave the green light for a defensive mission in the Red Sea to safeguard civilian cargo ships from Houthi attacks. The decision was made in collaboration with India's existing anti-piracy efforts in the Indian Ocean. DD India's Alex Kadir reports for more from Brussels.
Well, as they so often have, Russia and the Middle East dominated discussions among the EU's 27 foreign ministers here in Brussels. Protecting civilian cargo ships in the Red Sea was very high on the agenda. Officials here announcing a new mission to try and achieve that, but stressed the mission is defensive and will focus on escorting ships through those areas targeted by Yemen's Houthi rebels and not striking Yemeni territory. The mission will be led by Greece, and Italy, France, Germany and others have said they'll be contributing ships. The mission will work alongside the US-led coalition in the Gulf of Aden and will coordinate with India's anti-piracy mission east of the Red Sea. EU officials have told me they discussed and coordinated their plans with their Indian counterparts. The question now, both for the EU's mission in the Red Sea and for new sanctions in Russia, will be about impact and whether or not the EU will be able to continue making a difference on the global stage. Alex Kadye in Brussels reporting for DD India.
India has contributed an additional $1 million to the IBSA fund, bolstering South-South cooperation. This is in reaffirmation of the principle development of the people, by the people and for the people. IBSA is a joint body of India, Brazil and South Africa for Poverty and Hunger Alleviation Fund. Each of the countries contributes $1 million annually to IBSA fund in the spirit of partnership, support for Global South nations. With the additional funding, India's contribution to IBSA has now crossed the $18 million mark since the fund was set up in 2004. IBSA fund supports the projects that are concrete expressions of solidarity. IBSA is focused on food security, health intervention, safe drinking water. The contribution presented to the Director of the UN Office of South-South Cooperation on Tuesday underscores India's commitment to collaborative progress and shared prosperity. Let's now take a look at some other developments that are making news across India. The Unique Identification Authority of India on Monday countered West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee's allegation that Aadhaar cards of people from a section of society have been deactivated, stating that no Aadhaar card number has been cancelled. The annual Khajuraho Dance Festival is beginning in India's central state of Madhya Pradesh on Tuesday. The prestigious festival will be showcasing classical dances like Kathak, Bharatanatyam, Odissi and Kuchipudi. These will be performed by renowned artists of the country till the 26th of this month. And still to come on DD India News Hour, the 4th edition of Khelo India University Games is underway in 7 northeastern states of the country. Anshu Agarwala has obtained India's first quota in equestrian sport for the Paris 2024 Olympics in dressage. And polar bears are at heightened risk of starvation amid longer ice-free seasons in the Arctic region.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it
takes. Cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour. From sports to world affairs. With a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Turning crisis into opportunity. Transforming ideas into action. Stories of real change. Tales of sustainable solution. This series is going to tell stories of such change makers. Watch Change Makers on DD India.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibilities. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy, and now time to get you some sporting updates with Abhishek.
Right, thank you, Gautam. A lot happening in sports, but we'll start with Khelo India University Games happening in 8 northeastern states. The 4th edition of Khelo India University Games is underway in the northeastern state of Assam, with the games taking place in 7 sister states. Major sporting events including basketball, table tennis, kabaddi, swimming, men's football, shooting and archery, along with India's indigenous games like Mallakhambh and Yogasana are underway. Medals will be offered in 20 spots with around 4,500 athletes from over 200 Indian universities competing over the course of 11 days. And talking about the games updates in basketball, Madras University defeated Guru Nanak Dev University 105-48 in the women's semi-final at the Karambir Nabin Chandra AC Indoor Stadium on Tuesday. And in men's basketball semi-final, Punjab University edged out Jain University in a tight finish 89-87 to book their place in the finals. And in table tennis, Chandigarh University's Trisha Gogoi beat Ashika of Madras University 3-0 in women's team B round at the Nehru Stadium. And Delhi University's Vasuni Jaiswal defeated Sanchuta Chatterjee of Adamas University 3-0 in women's team D round 2. All right, let's go across to Deepika Mehto, DD India's correspondent. She is joining us live from the newsroom. Good afternoon, Deepika. Another edition of Khelo India University Games kicks off. What do we expect in this edition, and how many sports and disciplines have been added in this edition?
Good afternoon, Abhishek. As you rightly said, this is the 4th edition of Khelo India University Games, and we would witness around 20 sporting disciplines that are currently in action, and they would be played across 10 days of Khelo India University Games event. If we talk about the venues, the games are spread across 18 different venues across the northeastern states. There are 7 northeastern states that have been chosen where Khelo India University Games events will be played, and as Prime Minister Narendra Modi have been mentioning, Northeast and Asht Lakshmi that he has mentioned. And interestingly, the mascot is also called Asht Lakshmi, that represents grace, diversity and rich cultural heritage of India. And also the Asht Lakshmi focuses on the rich cultural heritage of the 8 states of Northeast. It also depicts the cultural diversity and also the commerce, business and the various potential that one can tap upon when we talk about Northeast. The Asht Lakshmi concept here also focuses on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of Act East policy that has been taken care here at the 4th edition of Khelo India University Games. Now today is day 1 after the opening ceremony. However, Kabaddi started before the opening ceremony. So when we talk about today, there are many events which are being played, and interestingly, Abhishek, you would remember at Tokyo Olympics, Mirabai Chanu was the one who opened the medal tally for India, and here at Khelo India University Games also, the weightlifting has opened their medal tally. On the first day itself, they've bagged gold. The first gold has come from the sport of weightlifting yet again, Abhishek.
Deepika, Khelo India is all about promoting sports at the grassroots level. We saw the Khelo India Youth Games also held just a few days ago. And this edition sees more participation too. Another step in making India a sporting hub?
When we talk about progress in sports, Abhishek, we will have to remember and remind our viewers the kind of budget that has been allotted for Khelo India schemes. 3,500 crore rupees budget for the Khelo India scheme. Not only this, 1,000 Khelo India centers that have been inaugurated across the country. There are many more technology innovations that are being done in the Khelo India scheme initiative. And all these Khelo India players, through this platform, they are getting a major boost to represent the country at international levels. We've seen a latest record in badminton also. So all these players, all these young players, they get a major boost, they get a big opportunity, they get good infrastructure, and they eventually perform and rise to the occasion, Abhishek, through the Khelo India scheme.
Very quickly, Deepika, what is the schedule today Jain University and Punjab University will give tough competition to each other in the tournament.
If you would remember, Abhishek, Jain University have always been the table toppers.
Yeah.
Let's see how they are going to perform. Today is just the third day of Khelo India University Games, if you talk about in total. So let's see across 10 days how are they going to perform, because we've got many medal events lined up across swimming also. And apart from that, we've got kabaddi, football, volleyball, other events which have been lined up. So let's see how the players perform at this edition of Khelo India
All right, we'll leave it
University
at that, Deepika. Thank you for the time being, but we'll keep taking updates from you. All right, moving on to our next story now. Anush Agarwal obtained India's first quota in equestrian for the Paris 2024 Olympics in dressage discipline. Agarwal had previously won a historic individual bronze medal in dressage at the 2023 Asian Games. He has obtained the quota for India based on his performance in 4 FEI events. In Hangzhou, Agarwal rode Etro during his medal-winning run. And the quota belongs to the country, and Equestrian Federation of India will conduct a trial before sending the final name for the Paris Olympics. The quota obtained by Agarwal was the 40th for India at the Paris Olympics 2024 to be held in July this year. Moving on to hockey now. The Indian men's hockey team beat Spain 8-7 via penalty shootout in an FIH Pro League match on Monday, as the experienced goalkeeper PR Srijesh produced the decisive save for his team. The penalty shootout turned out to be a thrilling contest, as the two teams were locked 7-7 before Lalit Kumar Upadhyay put India ahead. Indian custodian Srijesh then produced a decisive save, denying Spain captain Marc Miralles to earn the 8-7 win for the host. India will next face the Netherlands on Wednesday. All right, cricket now. Sri Lanka defeated Afghanistan by 72 runs in the second 2020 international on Monday in Dambulla to take an unassailable 2-0 lead in the 3-match series. After recently making his T20I comeback, Angelo Matthews was the star of the show for the Islanders after he contributed with both bat and ball. Angelo Matthews and Vanindu Hasaranga showcased outstanding all-round performances, supported by a solid half-century from Sadira Samavikrama, as Sri Lanka continues its winless streak in the ongoing tour. The third T20I is scheduled to be played in Dambulla on Wednesday. All right, that's all we have in sports stories. Back to you, Gautam.
Thanks a lot, Abhishek. Let's now bring you a recent research that has been published in the journal Nature Communications, which has revealed starvation threat among polar bears in ice-free Arctic periods. The researchers used video camera GPS collars to track the polar bears for 3-week periods over the course of 3 years in the Western-Hudson Bay region, where the ice-free period has increased by 3 weeks from 1979 to 2015. Take a look at this report.
A recent study revealed that polar bears are facing an increased risk of starvation due to spending more time on land during extended ice-free seasons. The researchers watched 20 polar bears for weeks in the Hudson Bay region of Manitoba, Canada, and found them struggling to find food, with seals out of reach. The researchers used collar equipped with video cameras and GPS to track their movements. They found a diversity of behaviors, ranging from bears conserving energy by resting to actively foraging for terrestrial food.
We ended up monitoring 20 polar bears on land in Wapusk National Park. We used GPS-enabled video camera collars on each bear. We simultaneously measured their energy expenditure and measured their changes in body weight. So the video data provided us detailed information about their behavior, their diet.
The researchers also found that the younger polar bears are even at greater risk. This is due to their small size and lack of skills as compared to the adult ones.
What we found was that it's really the younger bears, the subadults, that are at greatest risk of starvation. Those bears are smaller, given their younger age compared to an adult bear. As a result of their small size, they're not able to accumulate as much body fat as a larger bear would be able to do. Also, they're not as experienced as an adult bear would be, so they aren't as skilled at catching seals while the sea ice is present.
According to the researchers, the polar bear population in the area has already declined by an estimated 30% since 1987. The findings indicate that polar bears across the Arctic are at risk of starvation as the ice-free period continues to grow. Nikita's report, DD India.
UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has implemented a ban on mobile phones in schools across England, aiming to address disruptions during lessons. Sunak announced the ban through a video message on social media platform X.
One of the biggest issues children and teachers grapple with every day is the impact of... See how frustrating that is. Almost 1/3 of secondary school pupils said their lessons were disrupted by phones. We know that they're a distraction in the classroom and cause bullying in schools. Many schools have already banned them, which has led to a safer and better learning environment for their students. Now, we're publishing new guidance so other schools have the support they need to do the same. We're making sure our children receive the education that they deserve.
I mute mine when I'm in the studio, so no worries. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour, and keep watching this channel for all the latest.